I'm Chanel Smith, and we are back for yet another packed episode. We will watch 2 full rounds play out, meaning you'll learn the next 2 eliminated players by the end. With Marco previously evicted in a very divided vote, how will the house function now? Will Danielle be this season's mischievous player? Let's watch.
It's night 2 in the Teams at War house, and after quite the blindside on half of the house, Alessandro asks around, trying to figure out what happened. He specifically asks Tamara, who is open to telling him straight up what went down. She tells him that there was a great push for Marco to go after he pulled together a group of 5 people. She leaks that Chris and Hannah were the main 2 who were leading this plan. Alessandro tries not to seem panicked, but he's very much nervous for what may happen going forward. Tamara does say that she feels good about Chris and Hannah right now, as long as they don't have anything against her. If she had to guess, she believes Zoe will go next anyway, but Alessandro isn't so sure of that. Tamara later meets up with Hannah outside, telling her how great the eviction went for them. Hannah is relieved. It's not a surprise since she was worried for her own safety if Marco were to stay. Tamara then asks Hannah who she would want to see go from blue if red were to win safety, and she says Jeremy, Josh, and Bart need to go because they might continue sticking together. Tamara says she would be down for that. They would just need to rally up enough numbers to make that happen. As the red and blue teams head to bed, so do the basement folk. Those 4 can only dream about getting out of this room. They'll need a challenge win under their belt or be given safety by the challenge winner if they plan to move out of here. While people are sleeping, Josh paces around the top floor with a glass of milk, trying to figure out how he should play the game after the sudden blindside. Danielle and Alessandro join him after hanging out in the downstairs pool, and Josh suddenly becomes suspicious perhaps. Danielle and Alessandro seem to be very flirty. Could this be a showmance? Even though Danielle and Alessandro claim they aren't taking things seriously, Josh has his doubts. With all the fun flirting going on, Josh gets right into game mode, asking Danielle and Alessandro where they stand in the game right now. Alessandro says he's rightfully nervous about most blue team members because of the last vote. He specifically feels like Chris, Hannah, Jackson, and Priscilla are an alliance. Danielle straight up says she's surprised he doesn't assume she's also in that group since it was revealed she voted Marco, but Alessandro says he sees her as more open-minded than the rest. Danielle admits she's not a closed book and loves exploring different options. If Red has to vote one of those 4 out, she will not stop them. I mean, she technically wouldn't be able to vote anyway. Josh feels great after this conversation. Could this result in a power shift already? With morning coming very soon, most house guests are awake. Heck, Danielle hasn't even slept last night. She meets up with Blurry in the basement bedroom since the 4 women assigned to this room are out and about. Danielle wants to know who Blurry wants out next from her team, and Blurry straight up says they need to get rid of Jeremy or Josh since they were part of that rumored alliance Marco created. Danielle understands the move and asks who they would go for first between the 2, and Blurry says Josh initially. However, Danielle tells them that Jeremy is probably more of a smart and methodical player, so blurry switches their answer to Jeremy now as their target. Blurry then asks her who from Red would go next, and Danielle admits she would like to see Kat go the most as she's a very unpredictable player. She's hard to read because she barely talks with her in the first place. Blurry says that it'll most likely be her or Alessandro going from Red if they end up losing the challenge. We are now on the third day of Teams at War, and it's time for the next safety challenge. This one is a trivia challenge that will test the players' memory. They will watch a video on their giant screens and then answer questions. If a question is answered incorrectly, it results in the person being eliminated. The last player standing will win safety for their team and will grant someone on the losing team individual safety. To be clear, there is no punishment this round for the basement dwellers. However, they can of course get out of that room if they either win themselves this challenge or gain safety. This challenge is now on, and everyone watches the screen ahead. We can skip this part because who cares what's going on with this blurry video. It's time to see who will get out each round. For question 1, Zoe, Dilpreet, and Millie are out from Red, and Chris, Jackson, and Hannah are out for Blue. That means Red is now at 5 players remaining while Blue is at 6. For question 2, Alessandro and blurry are eliminated from Red while Priscilla, Josh, and Bart get out on Blue. We're now even with Levique, Tamara, and Kat representing Red, and Danielle, Medora, and Jeremy representing Blue. For question 3, Tamara and Kat both get out from Red, while Jeremy and Danielle are out from Blue. This leaves the smart man Levique and, I guess, the marine biologist Medora. No surprise, for question 4, Medora answers wrong, meaning Levique wins the challenge for the Red team. Someone from the Blue team will be voted out tonight by the 8 people on Red. However, Levique has one more job, and that's to save someone from the eviction vote. With Levique now up the stairs and at the display case in the reading corner, he debates who he should save since this could gain him a new trusted ally. He wants to pick between Hannah and Chris since they seem to be running things on the Blue team. Even though Hannah was his first thought, he switches to Chris as she's in the basement bedroom anyway and can get out of there. Everyone then finds out that Levique saved Chris, meaning she'll have to swap places with one of her teammates in the basement room. She ends up swapping with Medora, which clearly leaves her unhappy. Really unhappy. Back in the house, Medora tries to cool off in the pool. She's having a horrid time here as she feels like nobody is relatable. Meanwhile, Dilpreet talks with Bart in the Blue bedroom, telling him who he thinks could get targeted tonight. His immediate thought is Josh and Jeremy since everyone keeps linking them to the rumored alliance Marco made. Bart thinks it's a waste of a vote though because the real alliance is clearly between Chris, Hannah, Jackson, and Danielle. They are likely leveraging votes with some Red team members, which means they are the strongest in the house now. Dilpreet agrees, but he doesn't know if they'll have enough votes to make a move because it's likely that Levique, blurry, Tamara, and Zoe are locked in to keep the girls and Jackson. He might just have to vote with the majority here since the tiebreaker is in their favor. Kat and Alessandro are 2 happy Red members because they both felt the most vulnerable on their team. Now they have the power to gain back their control. Kat pushes for Jackson to go first from that team because she finds him extremely aggressive and filthy. Alessandro isn't too thrilled to hear this since he sees Hannah as a smarter vote. In the basement bedroom, Jeremy congratulates Levique and Zoe for their team's safety. Zoe feels the most relieved from the safety because she almost went home last vote. Now she feels better than ever and feels like she can play this game properly. Priscilla loves hearing this and proceeds to ask Levique and Zoe who they plan to vote for. Levique says that he plans to vote solely on a personal level tonight because it's too soon to vote based on gameplay. He doesn't really like Medora's vibe, so that's someone he feels comfortable voting for. If anyone else is up for it, they can join in on the vote. In the meantime, it seems Hannah is becoming paranoid as she's trying to figure out who Red is going to vote out. Despite their rough relationship early on, it seems Hannah and Jackson are able to put aside their personal issues and team up to campaign for themselves. Hannah thinks Bart would be the best elimination, but if not him, she's also alright with Medora, Jeremy, or Josh leaving. Chris ends up helping out with this as she tells Alessandro to vote Bart. She tells him he can gain a new life in this game if he feels uneasy after last vote. Alessandro says he has zero association to Bart, so if that's where the consensus is going, he'll have no problem tagging along. Is he telling the truth though? Or just telling Chris what she wants to hear? Regardless, Hannah tells Kat and Millie that she can be a great voting asset for them as her targets remain elsewhere. Kat says she trusts her, but is also hearing rumors that she's aligned with Jackson, Chris, and Danielle. In order to break those rumors, she feels like Jackson needs to go so there's less paranoia. Hannah thinks it's the wrong move though, since Jackson is a vote for them both to stay. If they remove him as a voter, it gives Bart, Jeremy, Josh, and Medora more power. This is why one of them needs to go, specifically Bart, Medora, or Jeremy. Knowing that Chris has a lot of sway in this game thus far, Josh remains on her good side as he tries to convince her he's a free agent on their team. Chris tells him she doesn't want to see him go and would much rather Bart go. He claims he would also like to see that as he doesn't trust Bart. We know that's a lie, but is Chris drinking Josh's Kool-Aid? As more and more conversations are held about the vote, the main names floating around are Bart, Jeremy, Medora, and Jackson. But which one will really go? It's time to find out now. Take over, Chanel.
Hello there, everyone. We are now going to get into the second eviction of this season. Let's talk with the house guests. Hello, Red and Blue team. It's time we get to Blue's eviction. The 8 players on Red will vote someone out from the Blue team. As the challenge winner, Levik's vote will count as double if there ends up being a tie. In addition, Chris was granted safety, meaning nobody can vote her tonight. Let's get right to this vote. Kat, you're up first. Levik, it's your turn. Zoe. To the diary room, Tamara. Dilpreet. Byri. Please tell us who you are evicting tonight. Millie, to the diary room. Thank you, Millie, for your vote. Alessandro, please let us know who you will evict tonight. Thank you. House guests, the vote is now complete and I have the results. I will now reveal the names of the people who received at least one vote tonight. Jackson, Bart, Jeremy, and Medora. 3 of you received 1 vote each, meaning it leaves one of you with 5 votes. The second person to be evicted from teams at war with 5 votes is Jeremy. Please say your goodbyes and leave the house immediately.
Relieved by the outcome, Hannah bobs her head forward. Bart tilts his head to the side as this outcome is not the one he wanted. On the other end, Zoe's smile proves she's satisfied with tonight's outcome since Jeremy tried to eliminate her last round. Jeremy wishes his team luck before walking for the exit. Everyone says goodbye to him and he heads for the front door. He says goodbye to the game and walks out into the hallway, passing the memory wall. In his final words, Jeremy is obviously a bit disappointed he went out so soon. He loves social strategy games and dreamed to be on one himself. With this experience being a short one, he still feels like he learned a lot about how tough these types of games are. Jeremy feels like he would have been better at a slower-paced game rather than a rapid-fire one. His biggest mistake was playing too passively, thinking he could stay under the radar. Right now, he would like to see Josh win the game and even thinks he's capable of winning. He comes off as a kind-hearted person that also knows how to strategize. With Jeremy now gone, everyone leaves the eviction room. Once again blindsided by the vote, Alessandro tries to pick at Jackson to see whether or not he will willingly tell him who the mastermind is on his team. Jackson is visibly confused because he doesn't think anyone is necessarily a mastermind, but then he remembers rumors going around that Alessandro and Danielle were flirting the other night. So then, Jackson tells Alessandro that the closest person to being the mastermind from his perspective is Danielle. Jackson goes as far as to say that Danielle plans to target him from the red team, making Alessandro's blood begin to rush to his head. Alessandro eventually talks with Tamara at the kitchen table, telling her what Jackson told him. She says that Danielle is definitely associated with Chris and Hannah, but she also trusts Chris and Hannah way more than her, so she would be okay seeing Danielle go next. Alessandro feels like Danielle tried to play with his emotions the last few days, so he's done letting her play him like a fiddle. Well, that showmance may have just ended in just over 24 hours. Meanwhile, Chris and Priscilla discuss who their target on Red should be. This conversation mostly has Chris pushing her target list, which consists of Kat and Alessandro. Priscilla agrees and straight up says she only wants Zoe to remain safe on that team because she's extremely trustworthy. Chris tells her not to worry because they have the numbers on this team to do what they want. As Kat gets into the pool, Medora swings by to ask her how she feels. Kat isn't happy one bit because she was left out of the vote. Medora says she too didn't really know what would happen and wonders who voted for her. Kat is mainly concerned though about Jackson because he's going to target her now. Medora also tags along, saying that Jackson gives her creepy energy. If Red somehow wins safety tomorrow, it would be nice if they could eliminate him to relieve the rest of the house guests. Damn Jackson, it seems your whole pitch about perception round 1 is starting to work, except the opposite of how you intended it to be. While most players get ready for bed, Danielle and Josh chat in the blue bedroom as Danielle feels more and more uneasy about Medora. She recently saw her have some serious conversation with Kat in the pool. Knowing that Kat isn't on her side, it's giving the impression that Medora is aligned with her. Josh immediately agrees and says he would like Medora to go next from their team. However, if they win safety tomorrow, it might be best to push for Kat to go. Danielle agrees and they shake on it. It's day 4, meaning one thing. It's challenge time. However, this time it will take place outside in the cold. For this safety challenge, everyone must shape a bonsai tree properly. Each round, anyone who doesn't properly shape their tree will be eliminated. After however many rounds they need, the last player standing will win safety for their team and will also save one person from the losing team. Time to get right into round 1, and everyone hits it off as they attempt to shape their bonsai trees. I won't lie, most of them look extremely lost and confused, probably because they haven't shaped any sort of tree before. Once the round ends, it turns out that only 6 people knew how to shape their trees. It ends up being Levique, Alessandro, Medora, Chris, Danielle, and Josh who survive. Not a good look for the red team as they are down to 2 while blue is down to 4. Now on to round 2, where the players finish shaping their bonsai trees once again. This time, Medora and Josh get out, meaning we are now even with Levique and Alessandro representing the red team, and Chris and Danielle representing blue. In round 3 though, Levique gets out along with both Chris and Danielle, which means Alessandro is the last one standing and wins safety for his team. As blue teams stand together waiting for Alessandro to go make his safety decision, Medora continuously jumps up and down, hoping Alessandro can hurry up because of how cold it is. Alessandro reaches the reading corner and looks at the display case. He fiddles around with some chips in his bag, figuring out who he should save. He is of course on the bottom, so the best he can do is save someone else on the bottom from blue. Even though Bart might be an easy target, he feels this better connection to Josh. Therefore, he ends up inserting Josh's chip in the display case, confirming he is safe. As everyone is relieved they can head back inside, Josh instantly heads to the pool in celebration of his safety. He talks to the cameras and simply says it doesn't really matter to him who goes home from his team because his true allegiances are with most of the red team, including Dilpreet and Alessandro. Meanwhile, Medora and Tamara have lunch together as Medora tries to figure out who the red team plans to vote this time. Tamara says she wouldn't be surprised if the people who got one vote each last vote get targeted this time since it's the easiest thing to do. Medora isn't too thrilled to hear this because she got a vote last eviction. She asks Tamara if she knows who voted her, but Tamara doesn't know, nor does she really care. Also in the coffee corner, Hannah and Jackson chat. Hannah seems happier than she should be, considering Blue lost the challenge again. But she tells Jackson she feels pretty safe tonight since people seem to be more concerned about Medora and Bart. Jackson also argues that Danielle could be viewed as a threat since he started pushing her name out there as the mastermind from their team. Hannah thinks people would be stupid to believe that, meaning she doesn't think it will work. Boy is Hannah wrong though, because Alessandro tells Chris that he's 100% targeting Danielle tonight. Chris wonders what made him get to this conclusion, and he says that he knows Danielle is pulling the strings on Blue. He warns Chris not to let her get manipulated by Danielle. Chris slowly nods and pretends to be on the same page as him. In the kitchen, Priscilla campaigns to Kat and Millie, but both of them tell her not to worry tonight because the targets seem to be Medora and Jackson. Millie says she personally prefers Jackson to leave because he's hard to approach. Medora is easier to talk with, but she's also kind of a wacky person who has a very different personality to her own. Kat says she will never be able to bond with Jackson and hates how he refuses to help clean around the house. He just sits around all day doing nothing but talk with his group of friends, and it's starting to piss her off. Lavik and Tamara chat since they both trust each other quite a lot still. They want to vote together to strengthen their game relationship. Tamara says she knows Alessandro wants Danielle out tonight, but it doesn't seem like it'll work anyway. But Lavik says he doesn't want her to go. He would rather see Jackson or Medora go. Tamara agrees and doesn't know who they should specifically go for between the two. Lavik personally doesn't like Medora, but also knows that Jackson can be a threat for them down the line. Lavik admits he voted Medora last round, but he doesn't mind changing it to Jackson this time. Both of them continue to talk throughout the evening. As eviction night approaches, more people from the red team confirm their votes. Dilpreet tells Josh he's voting for Medora tonight because she's too much of a wild card. At least Jackson is more likely to vote Alessandro or Kat from the red team if Blue were to win safety next time. Tamara also confirms to Bart in the kitchen that nobody is going to vote him tonight, which makes him relieved. When she tells him that Medora and Jackson are the two main names right now, Bart admits that Jackson is more of a game threat just due to his association with Chris and Hannah. We'll see if this influences Tamara's decision for tonight or not. Let's now let Chanel host the third eviction of the season.
Greetings everyone! We are now entering the third eviction of the season, so let's talk no more and get right into things. Hello house guests. I see you are all ready for the next eviction of the season. Firstly, congratulations to Alessandro for winning the previous safety challenge. He ended up saving Josh from the losing team, which means nobody can vote for him tonight. The red team will each enter the diary room one at a time and cast their vote to evict for someone on the blue team. Once again, if the vote ties, whoever Alessandro voted for will go home unless his vote is for someone other than the tied people, in which he'll just publicly announce who he sends out. With that, Tamara, please head to the diary room first. Hello Tamara. Who would you like to evict? Dilpreet. Zoe, to the diary room. Thank you Millie. Alessandro, you're up. Thank you Alessandro. Lavik, who would you like to evict? Kat. You may now head back to the living room. House guests, I have the results. I will now reveal the names of the players from the blue team who received at least one vote tonight. Medora. Jackson, and Danielle. Danielle, you received 1 vote, which means you are staying tonight. That leaves Medora and Jackson, and one of them received 5 votes, while the other received 2. Jackson, you received 2 votes. That means Medora, you received 5 votes, and you are as a result evicted from the teams at War House. Please say your goodbyes and leave immediately.
Hannah looks over at an upset Medora and Danielle breathes out after learning someone voted for her. Medora gets up and immediately faces Danielle, asking her if she is behind her eviction, but Danielle squints and shakes her head. Tamara looks at Levik from across the couches and gives him a thumbs up due to their successful elimination of Medora. Medora waves goodbye to everyone and heads for the exit. She walks out into the hallway, ready to meet Chanel. Next time on Teams at War, as Kat doesn't get her way once again with her voting Jackson, she easily becomes an even bigger target on the red team. However, will Danielle find out that Alessandro tried to evict her tonight? Or will she continue their showmance? Nothing is ever certain, especially when a very key player starts to secretly align themselves with Alessandro. Things could get juicy here. Will there be jealousy? Find out which team will face eviction after they compete in an ankle-rolling treadmill challenge. Plus, find out how the new basement dweller is decided on since Medora is now out of the game. All of this will be featured on Thursday. In her final words, Medora explains how difficult it was to live in the house for 4 straight days. She especially did not find comfort in the basement bedroom. This game is hard to navigate, and she never had a moment where she could relax for several hours. This game just wasn't built for her. At this point, she sees Danielle as one of the main people running the blue team, but she personally thinks blurry has what it takes to win this whole game.